XIANGLI Yao is finally out, so let's briefly talk about everything you need to know about his rotation and the usual info dump to help with some informed decisions. Playstyle wise, he feels almost like a Kalcharo clone, but with added perks that Kalcharo unfortunately never got. A big one being resistance to interruption during his ultimate, for example. This is important because just like Kalcharo, XIANGLI Yao is all about his ultimate state, so let's begin there. XIANGLI enters his ultimate with a huge nuke, after which the goal is to fill his forte gauge to be able to use his enhanced skill for big damage. There are two ways to get there. Using his normal skill while in the ultimate will generate 2 forte stacks. Following this up with a basic attack will initiate a chain attack that grants another 3 stacks for a total of 5. Once full, activate the enhanced skill to reset the bar and start from scratch. Once you've used the enhanced skill a total of 3 times, the ultimate state ends. Unlike Kalcharo, there's no tight time limit on his ultimate state, but that does not mean you should try to extend it unnecessarily. The bulk of XIANGLI's damage comes from the initial nuke, as well as his 3 enhanced skills, so try to get them all off as soon as possible and then prepare for the next rotation for optimal DPS. Now, when preparing for the second enhanced skill, since his normal skill is still on cooldown, the other way to generate 40 stacks is to simply use basic attacks. 1 full basic attack string is precisely enough to fill the bar. Even if you can't pull off a complete basic attack string because you have to dodge, XIANGLI's dodge counter also generates 2 stacks, so unlike Kalcharo, you're not being punished for doing what the game asks you to. For the third and last enhanced skill, you can use the previously covered combo of skill into left click chain attack, resulting in a very defined and simple core burst rotation, after which you can just proc his outro and swap to the next unit. Now he does have a combo you can use prior to his ultimate, where his normal skill generates roughly 40% of his forte gauge, and a full basic attack string the other 60%. However, personally I recommend using 2 skills at some point during your support's rotations for 80% of his bar, and then fill the rest with a basic attack and a heavy attack. Because without a heavy attack, you're not getting the full benefits of his best in slot echo set. Once the non-ultimate forte gauge is full, you can spend it for a slightly stronger skill cast that also flows into a chain attack for some additional burst. If we add this to his core rotation, we end up with his complete cycle that you can now simply repeat each rotation. According to my own calculations, for which you'll find the sheet linked in the description, Void Thunder is still XIANGLI's best in slot set, despite Lingering Tunes being a strong contender, with only 3.5% lower rotation damage. If you use an attack percent 3 cost echo instead of electro percent, on Void Thunder you lose about 1%, on Lingering Tunes about 3% of your damage. So if possible, go for double electro, but if not, 1 attack 3 cost is totally fine too. Go for whichever 4 cost main stat gives you a more balanced crit ratio, and for substats, go for the usual crit, attack percent and flat attack, while keeping an eye on liberation damage bonus. For weapons, his signature weapon is a 20% improvement over the standard weapon. If your battle pass weapon chests are just sitting there collecting dust, you can consider getting the gauntlets because they're a good fit for XIANGLI's kit. Beyond that, there's only Hollow Mirage left, everything else is 3-star territory and lower. Pay attention to your resources when leveling XIANGLI's abilities. You really only need his forte and ultimate at level 10 to unlock more than 90% of his damage potential. His skill contributes around 5%, and intro and basics make up the rest, so I don't think they're worth the boss materials. With XIANGLI being a free unit, Kuro made sure that his sequences provide a good DPS increase. Outside of his S4, which grants a team-wide liberation damage bonus, his other sequences provide straightforward damage increases to just himself. The power spike of S1 is on par with that of Jinxi's S1, so not a terrible candidate to potentially purchase from the shop. An S6 XIANGLI deals around 2.4 times the damage of S0. Lastly, let's talk about teams, and I'm stating the obvious here, but just by being in the same team and triggering her outro, Yinlin boosts XIANGLI's damage by 32%, making her his best sub DPS bar none. If you don't have Yinlin just yet, you could try making Jianxin work for her liberation damage amplification, but any of the standard sub DPS units will work just fine. If you're going with quick swap, the options seem endless, but I've seen some theory crafters talk about XIANGLI and Kalcharo, or XIANGLI and Changli in the same team. So I'm curious to see what they can cook up with those combinations. I'm gonna stick to the hyper carry setting myself, and we'll try to make a fair comparison between Kalcharo and XIANGLI in my next video. Until then, thanks for watching and have fun with XIANGLI Yao.
どこを見ている？借りを返す。 実に僕が全て解き明かす。見えた。最高最高。